So hello, my dear friends. I hope we've all had a great week. And I hope that everyone will receive our hearty welcome to our weekly Communities of Practice Sunday check-in sessions, a half hour of Dharma, reflection, and community connections. If you are new to our community, please accept our wholehearted welcome and know that if you are unsure or have any questions about our practice, or our topics, we are all here to help. And if you are regular, of course, welcome back. It is customary in Australia to begin any meeting by acknowledging the traditional owners of our land. So in the spirit of reconciliation, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we walk, study, and reside, the Wodi people of the Dharawal Nation, and to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I also pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the various lands on which you all are. In addition, I'd like to recognize the triple gem of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Together, they make up the lineage, philosophy, and community of Buddhism that I embrace to deepen my engagement, reflection, and investigation. Today marks the 183rd session. And these sessions have all been developed by our Communities of Practice team and the entire community. These sessions aim to develop a reflective practice in response to changes. Guided by humanistic Buddhism, we would like to cultivate our practices and build memorable friendships. Over these few months, you have heard from Len, Meg, Cecilia, and Stephen, who spoke to their chapters in Cultivating Compassion, Going Beyond Crises. You may download the free e-version from the Peter Lang website. The web link is on the page. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from Tina Ng, a very busy Buddhist entrepreneur who managed to find a little gap in her schedule to accommodate us. So it is with great pleasure that I introduce my dear friend, Tina Ng, to introduce her book chapter on walking the paths of compassion amidst crisis. Over to you, Tina, and I'm going to stop share.
Thank you so much, Venerable Jue. It's always such a pleasure to work with Venerable because she's filled with so much compassion and love and wisdom, and she has the best radio voice, I reckon. So thank you for inviting me, everyone. I thought I'll just check in with everyone with a short meditation, and then I'll go through my book. So a lot of the work that I do deals with relationships with people. So I thought one of the topics that comes up a lot is about forgiveness. So can we do a short forgiveness practice? Now you can choose something, someone that you want to forgive, whether it's somebody that has hurt you, harmed you, or you want to ask for forgiveness, or it may be even yourself that requires that forgiveness, or it may be a particular situation. Okay, so I'll just invite you all just to close your eyes, bring your mind inward, just taking a few deep breaths to bring yourself back here in this moment together, such a supportive community. Just feeling how your breath is throughout your body as a way of centering you to this present. After a few deep breaths, you can just relax the intention of breathing to just a natural, soothing breathing. Breathing in a way that makes your body and mind feel uplifted and nourished. And as you feel more calm and centered, just bringing to mind the person, or situation, or yourself where maybe there has been some harm that was caused. No need to go into the stories, just bring to mind that person or situation. And bring that person into your heart and offering your heartfelt forgiveness, enveloping them with your loving embrace and forgiveness, and offering to them these words: I forgive you. I forgive you for what you have done, what you have said. I forgive you for not knowing. I offer my forgiveness to you to be free, so I too can be free. I forgive you. I forgive you. And very often, when there is conflict, we may have done something or said something in response. Maybe wasn't skillful. So let's offer our forgiveness to ourselves. I forgive me. I forgive me for anything that I have done or said that was unskillful. I forgive myself for not knowing. I forgive me. I offer myself this forgiveness unconditionally, without reservation, so I too can be free. I forgive me. I forgive. I. And as we come to the end of this short meditation, just feeling that warm embrace of unconditional love and forgiveness in our hearts, giving them or yourself a big loving hug in your heart, offering forgiveness with much generosity, unconditionally, and let it go. Let it go. When you feel ready, you can slowly open your eyes and come out of meditation. Hey. So, I have an opportunity now to present about my book chapter. And I have the privilege of contributing to this chapter, which I called Walking the Paths of Compassion Amidst Conflict. And how I came to choose that topic was when I thought about the whole book's title, which is Cultivating Compassion, Going Beyond Crises. I thought, what kind of crises plagues our modern day? You know, there's so many, like which one to choose and which one to talk about. And I'm not an academic either, so I don't have mountains of research to draw on to write my chapter. So I just drew on my own real life experiences, the tried and tested methods, and the crises that I see every day in my work as a lawyer and a mediator. I recognize that that's the type of crises that plagues billions of people daily all around the world. And the crises I'm talking about is the conflict in relationships. And these conflicts, they cause so much suffering in people, regardless of someone's age, ethnicity, education background, whether they have money or not. I have a client whose net worth is in the billions, and I have clients who can't afford to pay credit to call me because they need to wait until their payday to recharge their phones. So I see a whole spectrum of different people. But what is common is their suffering, and it stems from some form of conflict, particularly conflict in their relationships. So in my article, you'll read about my work as a Buddhist lawyer and mediator and how I use humanistic Buddhism in my work. You'll read about ways that I have different techniques and principles to resolve conflict, and also how we can use conflict as a way to practice the Dharma. Talk about how to transform conflict, how to handle angry people, how to look deeply into other people's suffering and touch their pain with your compassion, how to see the whole picture and see the root cause of the problem. Really, that helps clarify what we're actually arguing about. And from there, we can find ways that we could solve not just the superficial problems that people think that they're arguing about, but the root cause of the problem. And a lot of times that involves looking at what is truly important. And when we take that time to look, we often find that actually there's more in us that is in common than the differences that we spend so much of our time and energy arguing about. So much of our conflict is just a battle of views. So I wrote about how to go beyond arguing about who is right and wrong. There are ways to resolve conflict without saying who is right and wrong, because very often that is so subjective that you can't come to an answer for that. I wrote about how to practice deep listening and skillful speech, very important, especially for us practicing right speech as Buddhists. Talk about how we can use our words to build bridges of understanding between people. I do that a lot with mediation because so often we don't really hear what the other person has to say, really what they have to say. We're really just hearing what we think that they are saying through our own perceptions. In my chapter, I use different stories to illustrate my points. And there was one story that I think may have caused some stir in the editors. It's a story of the angry client who had a DV and criminal history. And DV is, of course, very complex. And so the question that I think one of the editors posed in summary was, is deep listening really enough to change a man like that? Actually, I have so many stories like the one that I shared in my chapter. And change isn't in just that moment. It's not just in that moment of deep listening. Change is an ongoing process, but it starts with a seed. It starts with a willingness of the person to see that they have done wrong and that they need to change. And so in the legal profession and social science, we call that insight. They have to have that insight. And to develop that insight sometimes can be very hard for people to be honest to see that for themselves. So those are the moments that I cherish as being able to be there to help that person develop that insight, for us to start to sow that seed of change in them, and then to help them take care of that seed so that it will grow. So if that person takes that moment of insight as a start for them to change, they can continue working at it, and then the change can happen. So I thought what I'll do is, instead of going through the story that I have in the book, which you can read about, I'll share another story. This is a story of someone who came to me recently, and it was actually a referral because the court needed some help. And this person's lawyer had given up on him, essentially. So this person has a history of violence, intimidation, a real distrust for others. I came into the matter and I was told we needed extra security for the courts, so you can kind of get an idea of what this person's like. And the court needed another lawyer to represent him because it was just too hard for the court to manage him without his own lawyer. So I came in at the last minute. And when I first spoke to him, he didn't trust me, which is quite usual, actually. Okay, so I'm just a stranger to him. And he was very anxious, highly strung. He talked over me. So I employed some of the things that I spoke about in my chapter. right? I said to him, okay, well, I will let you talk all you like, tell me everything you want to, and I won't interrupt you. But after you're finished, I want to speak and I'll invite you not to interrupt me. So he ranted and he talked and he had lots of things that he wanted to say. And after he finished, I was able to speak to him. Now, I won't go into details about what we spoke about because that's private. But at the end of it, he calmed down and he started calling me Miss. And then the next day, we went to court and I gave him some tips about how to handle himself, how to behave, basically. But importantly, what I wanted to share with you was this. During the court case, it was clear that people had a particular perception about him, right? And then during one of the sessions, we had a bit of a break, right? So we had a break and I was just in the interview session with him, just him and I. And he kept going on about how he was so traumatized. He has a lot of trauma. He's gone to lots of psychologists. He's been to himself, has spoken at different courses, right? So apparently knows about himself. But in our conversation, something that came out was he felt really guilty for what happened to some family members. And for him, he felt it was him who caused their passing. Okay, that's just how he felt. And he felt like he really missed them. And he said to me, the only time he could visit them now is at their grave. And he says that he's done some therapy, but he still gets triggered by this. So I asked him, can you forgive yourself? And no, this is someone who prior to that was just ranting. He just stopped, he paused, and he broke down crying because no one had ever asked him about that. No one had asked him, can you forgive yourself? And I asked him, do you think your family members would forgive you? And he said, yes. And I said, so why can't you forgive yourself? And he was tearing and he said, Miss, can you stop making so much sense? And then I said to him, do you think that they would want to see you like this? No. Then why are you still holding on to this guilt? Why are you still being this person that everyone else says that you are, but you don't need to be this person? And I said to him, your family, they don't want to see you like this. Live the life that they could have lived. Live the life that would make them proud of you. Change your life around. Live for them. Live for you. You don't need to be the person that you think that you are or that other people think that you are. You know, if I could see this possibility for you to change after knowing you for just a short period of time, why can't you do that for yourself? So very often I encounter people who are really stuck in their perceptions about themselves, especially when so often everyone tells them this. So, and he's the same. He said the same thing to me. No one believes me. No one thinks that I can be anything better than what I am. And I said, well, I do. You've got one person who believes you. But importantly, you need to believe yourself. It's not just about what I believe. You have to believe yourself that you can change. So I encouraged him and I said to him, prove that they're all wrong. Change your life around. And I often say this to my clients, and I am genuine with it because I do believe people have that potential to change. It may be very, very hard. They may have some really difficult habits, deep-seated habits, lots of perhaps karma that is there. But if they just make that change and they're persistent with it, it is possible. So anyway, he says to me, can you stop making so much sense? And he's like, this is like a therapy session. So anyway, so that's my client. And he's still my client. So I'm still supporting him through that. And after that conversation, he still is working on those things that he needs to change. And so that was kind of like the beginning. And then it's about how do we take these people through so that they can change. So yeah, my clients really inspire me and the work that I do really inspires me because I think if they, through all their struggles, through all their difficulties can change, then why can't we? So I believe compassion is not just a mystical thing. It's something that's real, it's practical. It's something that you can use. And finally, in my article, I do talk about my Guanyin artwork, which you can see here in my meeting room. And I hope that the presence of the goddess of compassion comes alive in you as well. And I hope that with her deep compassion and wisdom in our hearts, we can also transform conflict and allow ourselves to be the peacemakers and change makers in our lives. Thank you all so much. And I will now hand it over to Venerable Jue.
Thank you so much, Tina. You've just given us the perfect meditation on forgiveness in your stories that follow from last Sunday's Bhante Dhammika's metta meditation on unconditional loving kindness. So what we'll do next is to invite everyone into breakout sessions. And in those breakout sessions, Tina has given us wonderful questions to talk about that will follow very nicely from her story. First, whether compassion alone is enough to deal with conflict. If not, then what other Buddhist teachings are useful to resolve conflict? And second, what challenges might you experience in practicing compassion in the face of conflict or life's difficulties? So we'll be going into our Zoom groups very shortly for no more than 10 minutes. And in those Zoom rooms, we ask that you let the sessions be guided by metta, which is unconditional love and kindness for all sentient beings. Let's use these breakout sessions to express and receive loving kindness to and from one another. Do take time to pause, share, and listen. See you all back in probably about 8 minutes. Thank you, everyone. I'm so sorry that this was it was too short a breakout session, so we'll continue later in our plenary sessions. For now, we want to thank Tina, and we hope that even though it's a short breakout, but the entire check-in session has been helpful to you, and we hope you experience the unconditional love and compassion of this community. But for anyone who might be experiencing a greater need than what today could meet, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. And you can also reach out to the professional organizations on the screen. We thank our authors for their generous sharing. More authors will share their stories in July and August. But for the month of June, we will welcome back our busy but very own Bo Guangshan star, Venerable Miao Guang, to continue with the Bodhi Light Tales. For now, though, let's check out today and recite the dedication of merits together to send love and compassion to one another and whoever is in need. Let us now dedicate the goodness of what you have done to all living beings. May kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity pervade all worlds. May we cherish and build affinities to benefit all beings. May Chan, Pure Land, and precepts inspire equality and patience. May our gratitude and humility give rise to great vows. We hope that your week ahead will be filled with lots of love, compassion, and forgiveness. We look forward to seeing you again next Sunday at 11 a.m., where we will join Venerable Miao Guang with the Bodhi Light Tales. And for those of us who can stay, the plenary session follows. It is a safe space for all to reflect and share, so as to be more equipped to face the real world. Therefore, you're invited to participate actively and at the same time respect and allow diversity to blossom. We will invite those about to share their thoughts to raise their digital hands. And of course, please use the chat box stream to put in your comments, your feedback, especially from our breakout sessions, but also if you have any comments as we conduct the plenary session. So thank you to our IT hand, our very lovely Joe in the background, ensuring that we keep to time, and also to Tina. So Tina, I'm handing the digital microphone back to you.